save us a lot of trouble and money in the long run. I'd like to thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Admiral Greenert, Bill Gertz reports often on defense spending and assessments of capabilities, and he yesterday had a pretty interesting perspective on the Pentagon's most recent assessment of China's military power, and he wrote, and I quote, "China is building 2 new classes of missile submarines in addition to the 8 nuclear missile submarines, and 6 attack submarines are being deployed as part of an arms buildup that analysts say appears to put Beijing on the war footing," end of quotation marks. Deputy Assistant Defense Secretary for East Asia, David Helvey, told a briefing yesterday that the Chinese are deploying an aircraft carrier killing ballistic missile, 2 new stealth jet fighters, a new road mobile intercontinental ballistic missile, in addition to 3 other new ICBMs. A particular concern to the Pentagon is the deployment near Taiwan of a precision-guided DF-2 ID anti-ship ballistic missiles. That's quite an arsenal. That's quite a statement. You do represent the tip of the spear in the Western Pacific, and we constantly have this challenge where the Chinese are out there in force. Access issues. Where do you see the Chinese going relative to some of these systems? And getting to Mr. Womack's your response to how capable we are as a nation meeting these potential threats.
Well, staying within the classification of the room, I'll take to the very popular discussion on the DF-21D, the anti-ship ballistic missile. You got to look at it as a kill chain, I think, Congressman. In other words, to do such a thing, you have to have the sensor, you have to detect a ship, you have to recognize it is a ship, you have to then be confident that you got it well enough, then you got to have a tracking solution, then you got to be comfortable you can launch, it launches, it's going in the right direction, then it has to adjust itself. So at that point, you can spoof it, you can jam it, you can try and shoot it down, and as it gets closer, you can put a wall of lead up. And that whole chain of events has to successfully occur if you're the other side. In a defensive measure, you got to break a couple of those chains, and that's what we look at, frankly. So it is, many people focus on the bullet on the bullet. So what I would tell you is sort of comprehensive. Within the classification of this room, there's a lot of effort going on, has been, and we're making great progress, and I'm pretty comfortable where we are. Where are they going? Well, Congressman, we own the undersea domain, and I have a lot of empirical data that tells me exactly that. It would appear to me, based on the construction program, and it kind of is logical, that China wants to modernize.
They're building a lot of subs. They're building a lot of diesels. They're building nuclear subs, and
yep, and they have a lot of old ones that they need to replace that are kind of junky, and they're moving in that direction, but they're not there yet. And so our job is to remain owning the undersea domain.
So what about their Blue Navy, their projections?
Their Blue Navy, their projections. Frankly, we had a conversation.
There's a challenge sometimes in this room here. We over the years, some of your predecessors have sort of discounted the growing China military buildup, but in reality, the Chinese are getting really geared up here.
They are absolutely capable.
And I don't mean to put them in an adversarial way, but in reality, constantly, even though sometimes people discount it, they are challenging us on the high seas, and what they consider to be their backyard, which seems to be a growing backyard, where traditionally we've had access.
Yeah, I would say, Congressman, they're reasonably comfortable operating within what we call the first island chain, and that would be the Philippine Islands, Japan, down through Singapore, in toward China. They view that as what they call the near sea, and they're pretty comfortable operating there. They have very capable individual platforms that they are now starting to put to sea. The ability to network, to bring them together in an effective manner is somewhat of question. But I would submit we have an opportunity here as well to operate together, and we're working in that very direction. Doesn't have to be adversarial.
That they seem to have a pretty adversarial situation in terms of their relationships with the Philippines, with Vietnam. I mean, see, not only are we confronted, those countries are confronted as well. And obviously, the Philippines have been a strong ally of ours.
There are episodically, as in territorial claims, there are some issues there. But there's also cooperative issues also going on between the Chinese, the Vietnamese, and the Philippines regarding piracy, smuggling, and other issues. And I would submit China's going to take part in RIMPAC 14, Rim of the Pacific exercise in 2014, in a very tangible, substantial manner. It's a big opportunity, Congressman.
So it does or doesn't worry you about their arms buildup here?
I just say I'm vigilant. I hate to say worry yet because I'm not necessarily worried. Very vigilant, and we need to pay attention and understand the intent and challenge them on that intent.
Mr. Thank
you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of quick comments. One, two of my colleagues have mentioned the issue of sexual assault, and I would add my voice to